Hi.
So anyway, thank you very much for joining this and quite amazed by it, and thank you very much. I only just met you on the Twitch stream. Would you like to just introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, sure. I'm
Cool.
Raven
Thank you.
Sturt. I've been playing chess my whole life, 23 years. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, a long time. And only very recently did I make the Grandmaster title, like last summer. So it's been like 15 months now. So,
Wow. What's it feel like to be a grandmaster?
it feels great for a few days, but after that, it wears off. It was more something that
Oh,
Yeah, it was more something that I felt that I should always be able to accomplish if I put enough work into it. So, um, my path to it was very interesting. It seemed like I was clearly at Grandmaster strength for a few years before I technically fulfilled all the requirements. So, it was more a sense of relief than anything. It wasn't,
oh,
yeah, it wasn't so much happiness as just being glad to be done with it.
well, with someone the other day on Twitch, and a guy with glasses, a bit older than you, I think, and he had some sort of 1400 rating or something like that, and you said, "Oh, I can help you with that."
Oh yeah, I help a lot of people around that rating level.
Wow, I'm sure you do. That's fantastic. That's really, really good. I think that's something that's not occurring so much these days. Do you think that?
Yeah, not really. I think it just depends. It mostly depends on just how they're working about training. I think chess is a really complex thing. People are stubborn, right? And one of the biggest reasons why people don't get better in chess is because they don't want to realize how bad they play. And
Yeah.
that's part of it. That's like the short summary. The longer summary is that we get a sort of thinking system that we like, and then it's very hard to change it. And while that thinking system was useful for getting to 1400, going from 1400 to 2000 becomes almost impossible. Now, when you're at 1400, the thinking system isn't the only thing available. It's not the only factor. It's sort of like a thermometer, and it keeps your level around a certain range, but you can still add knowledge to it, and that's why you'll see people around 1400s learn if they learn a new opening or if they learn a new type of trick or if they practice tactics a lot, their rating will jump up a bit. But overall, they're limited to a certain range of normally around 200 to 300 points, and that's where they're going to fluctuate between.
Yes, so Raven, you're saying that I hear from Ben Feingold, Grandmaster Ben Feingold. I don't know what your score is with him. I haven't checked these. I've done that sort of research. I want to leave it up to you. Ben Feingold says, "Oh, look, just keep on playing your games and blundering, and like it's all
Yeah,
good, Yeah,
that will help. That will help, but there is an upper ceiling though. There's definitely an upper ceiling. Everyone at 1400 can get a bit better. I think everyone can get better, but normally, like I'll give an example of my own level and my own path, and I think it really illustrates why just changing your thinking patterns is so important. I am self-taught. I just taught myself. It's not even so much teaching myself. I would just go to the chess club every single day, more or less, between the ages of 11 and like 18, and my schoolwork really suffered. My grades really suffered. In hindsight, it was a good decision because I ended up getting a much better job than I would have had I just gone through the standard path. But um, I just always look for ways to improve my thinking. And what I mean by that is I was very focused on if I ever couldn't understand why someone who was above me was telling me something, I looked to change my thinking pattern that was making me come to a different conclusion. But that type of thing is very hard to do. That this gets into metacognition and stuff. But I think this is one of the main reasons why getting better at chess is so difficult, because there are things that from our knowledge base or from our thinking system, I could call it, we can understand and we can improve on those things. But for instance, like if we take me and we take Magnus is 400 points above me. He looks at the board in a completely different way, right? And you could give me all his knowledge, you could give me all his files, his opening files. You could even technically install like a memory base in me, like just for the purposes of this argument. It doesn't exist, of course, but like just imagine that for some reason I had the same amount of recall as him. Even then, he there is a sort of a thinking system that we see the board from, and yeah, in a very weird. I mean, honestly, I know that this sounds super abstract, and so I hope that people listening to this understand what I'm talking about. Like one way I liken it to is you get your understanding becomes more and more nuanced, right? When you're starting out in chess, you learn the basic rules, you learn that development is good, king safety is good, all these basic things, and then you layer on top of them. And that means that the first fundamental rules were not necessarily wrong, but they just weren't specific enough. And as you move up the skills ladder, you get more and more specific rules that, like, so everyone looking at a board, even Magnus included, will look and say, oh, development was important or this type of thing. But the higher up you go, the more and more specific factors people will be aware of.
Talking about being Feingold about is that he said, look, unless you're going to look at your mistakes, you're not going to get any better. And I think that's what you've been highlighting.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a big part of it.
Yeah. It's very hard to look at mistakes, especially when we lose. It's really, really hard to deal with. Some people just toss some people literally toss the table over. I've probably done that a few times.
Yeah.
Shall I ask you some quick fire questions? And like, I'm not going to do them like I did with Paul Littlewood. I read about 80 of them.
Sure.
150. So I've got some. Do you like coffee or tea?
I'm a big coffee drinker.
Oh, good on you. You're in my club now. Cat or dog?
Dog.
Driving or being driven?
I don't know how to drive. I grew up in New York.
Okay. Yeah, I saw some dash cams of New York drivers. I won't say anymore. On YouTube. Just fantastic. They were well behaved. They didn't swear as much as the Australians. They didn't swear so much at the wheel. But they just do. There's some extraordinary things here in New York.
Yeah, the New York traffic is legendary.
Lion or tiger?
Lion.
Eagle or elephant?
Elephant.
Which one do you prefer? Sausage or egg?
Oh, egg.
Okay. Positional or tactical?
Positional.
Swindle or brilliancy? Which one do you like doing better?
Swindle.
Wow, cool. Good answer. Beer or wine?
Probably wine.
Do you like to swim more or bike more? Which one do you prefer?
I really like cycling.
Oh wow, that's fantastic. My friend's one of the top in New Zealand. Cricket or golf? It's probably the wrong question. It's more for an Englishman, but
I don't like either.
Star Wars or Star Trek? This is a very important one. Star Wars or Star Trek?
I can't say I really like either. Star Wars I'm more a fan of though. I've never gotten into Star Trek.
And what about piano or violin?
Piano.
Wow. Bugatti or Lamborghini?
I only know those names. I know both are extremely. I have no idea. They conjure up the same exact image in my head.
What do you prefer, morning or night?
Morning. Morning is better.
Surf or swim?
Swim. I want to learn how to surf, but I haven't. I haven't yet.
Do you like increments or no increments in chess?
Increments are better. They're a bit less stressful.
And touch move or block move, which do you favour when you're playing lightning chess? Do you prefer touch move or block move?
Clock move.
My 11-year-old junior, who I coach, asks you two questions, which I've asked him to ask some questions. What introduced you to chess, and how did you get into playing it at the age of 7?
So I went to school in New York, and New York is extremely passionate about, just New York schools in general are extremely passionate about including chess in their curriculum.
Wow.
Yeah. And so for that reason, yeah, there was just a school program that every kid had to at least go through one class of. And the way most programs work is that if the kid likes chess, then they stick with it. Otherwise, the kid doesn't have to do it anymore. But at least
Oh,
for one semester, the kid has to do some chess.
oh, wow. So that's what got you into playing it. He also asks, question two, what motivates you to keep playing chess and not get bored of it? I wonder if he's asking me something there. Because he's 11 and like they've got other interests. What motivates you to keep playing chess and not get bored of it? It's a bit telling, isn't it?
Yeah. I have been struggling a bit with motivation since making the Grandmaster title. I have a lot of
Wow.
other things I want to do, mostly regarding
Yeah.
learning languages and traveling. Um, but yeah, I think the way to keep it interesting is just to keep trying to learn new openings because with each new opening, you're playing pretty much an entirely new type of game. If we think about certain really chaotic openings like the Sicilian and compare them to, I don't know, more positional ones like Queen Pawn's game, you are technically playing chess in both, but the types of games are very different.
So another question from an Auckland chess friend of mine. Is chess your career or your hobby? I think you've kind of answered this a little bit.
Yeah, it's definitely my career.
The next question is, do you have tertiary qualifications if you wake up one day and decide you don't want to be a chess player?
Yeah, I went to university, so I have a bachelor's.
Oh, wow, that's cool. That's better than me. Did you have a coach of any sort?
No, very briefly for a few years, but this was when I was like 1200. This was when I was around 1200, and I just wasn't a good student. I didn't really do anything he assigned. I was more interested in basketball the first few years. And this is when I happened to have a coach. So yeah, he certainly taught me some things, but it was all before I hit like 13 or 1400.
So, COVID and Queen's Gambit series brought chess back to the world. What, in your opinion, did Hunts and Magnus do with same?
Uh Hans Hans Niemann's story was big for the chess world. I think it got
Yeah.
chess in the news, just like Queen's Gambit did.
So, what does chess do for you?
Chess is extremely competitive. It's I find that I'm a very competitive person and it's a really nice outlet in that it's something I enjoy, but it's also something I can be extremely competitive in.
Wow, that's cool. What do you do if things don't go well for you?
Uh yeah, that times that chess hasn't gone well have been pretty depressing. I just try to deal with them as anyone would deal with frustrating situations. Normally just eating cake.
Any favorite chess moments?
uh Not really. I made Grandmaster. That was fun. Yeah, it's interesting. I find chess very enjoyable, but I'm I suffer from the same thing that a lot of other players do, which is that I enjoy studying exponentially more than playing. I find chess extremely interesting, but playing on the other hand is stressful. The just demands of tournaments, you have to play like 4 or 5 hours a day and prepare and try to manage every other responsibility that like you as an adult have to manage, be that work, lessons, any relationships. It's very difficult.
Any special memories of historical chess moments that you've seen or heard of? Is there anything that stands out to you?
Really, no. I haven't
Like,
seen
like
I haven't seen that many. I've around historical chess moments, I've pretty much never been around them, but I've been around a lot of players who went on to do to be very famous. Like I grew up, for instance, around Hans Niemann a lot. Yeah,
wow, cool.
yeah,
I use often say his quote in my descriptions or titles. I say, or especially on Facebook, I say, chess speaks for itself, but I'll go right ahead and start talking verboseness.
yeah.
How do you relate chess to life, Raven?
Chess in life. Yeah, I think chess is very representative of life because when you lose a chess game, it's your fault. So I think chess imbues in us a really strong sense of personal responsibility.
What happened before the nanosecond?
Before the nanosecond, I
Yeah.
can't say I'm familiar.
All right. I heard recently that someone gave up chess because they had physicians swarming around and swimming around in their head while they were trying to sleep. Any comment?
Yeah, that happens.
So,
That definitely happens. That's one of the reasons I hate American tournaments. American tournaments, you're expected to play at night and in the morning. So at night, if you
oh,
finish a
wow.
late game, you're expected to just immediately put yourself to bed and not be in that same mentally supercharged thinking state. And I've always found that to be nearly
Oh,
impossible. I've stayed away from American tournaments for that exact reason. At least in the European schedule, there's a game only in the afternoon. So, your game goes very late, but then you have the rest of the night to recharge, and then even if you get to bed at a very late hour, you'd still be able to sleep in through the morning.
do you like spontaneity or structural?
Definitely more spontaneity.
Oh, good on you.
Yeah. Yeah, one game a day
Oh,
allows for
yeah.
more spontaneity. The structure is too intimidating.
And how does, if any, chess help you in life?
It definitely helped me get opportunities I wouldn't have. It's really nice that I'm able to work as a digital nomad teaching chess.
Have you any advice for new chess players?
Uh it's worth it if you really like it.
Oh, good one. Scanning for cheating devices at chess tournaments. What do you think?
Chess cheating?
Scanning yeah, well, sort of that.
Uh it happens. There's not much to do about it. I think most I think it's very easy to do on a one tournament or once in a while, but the idea of someone getting away with it to sustain their entire career would be impossible. And so for that reason,
Oh,
I don't yeah, I don't think there are any big concerns with it.
endgames are simple in chess, correct?
No, not necessarily.
So one of my favorite terms in chess is pawn storm. I love pawn storms. Have
Yeah.
you?
Uh Off the top of my head, I think the German words are pretty funny.
Oh,
Zugzwang,
yes.
Zwischenzug, Zeitnot, a lot of those good ones.
What activities and principles help you at the chessboard?
I don't know, probably just a good night's sleep. Not much else. I like coffee.
Well, I think that people know I like coffee. Do you play blindfold chess?
Yeah, yeah, I do. It's good.
Elaborate.
Yeah, I play well.
Like Paul Littlewood, he said he's better at blindfold chess than he is over the board.
I find that hard to believe. Generally, it doesn't work that way.
Okay. Oh well, I'll ask him a bit more about that. Do you find focus important?
Yeah, yeah. Focus has to be. That's the most important thing in chess.
In your opinion, if you could say, what's more important, knowledge or understanding?
Probably that's an interesting one. Probably. Well, what do you mean by understanding?
What do you understand?
Where does knowledge end and understanding begin? It depends on your
I'm not asking
definitions.
questions. Huh?
Yeah, it depends on your definitions. A lot of people classify those things interchangeably.
Okay. Is intuition learned or is it innate?
Definitely learned.
Oh,
Definitely. Yeah.
there's a variation on that.
Yeah.
What is zero times infinity?
They say zero, right? That's what the mathematicians think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's um where's the billion gone? Where has the billion gone? Have you got a billion and someone comes along and puts a zero next to it and puts an X in between it? What happened to the billion?
Yeah, it's interesting. People think that yeah, people think zero is a very complicated thing, right? It's zero is not something that we can easily understand because to your point, it doesn't make sense.
Okay, and then thank you for going along with this. Why is it one time the brilliant loses the one's identity from product? So one time the brilliant, you don't see the one after it, whereas the other way around, you don't see the brilliant after it. You just see the zero. So it's just sort of something weird about me, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting.
Mm.
This reminds me, I when I was in college, I took classes on linear algebra. Do you know
Oh
anything
yes,
about this?
wow, yeah.
Yeah, so they call the one an identity matrix because whatever you multiply by one stays itself.
Yeah.
And zero meanwhile, zero does the opposite. Zero takes something and always brings it back to itself.
What other games do you play, Raven, and why?
I really like video games, but I don't think they're productive, so I try not to play them and I try to keep them out of my house. But recently I have been getting involved in Risk. Risk is a cool one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's very similar to chess, isn't it?
somewhat, yeah. A little bit more risk, a little bit more luck and risk involved. But
What is important to you in life?
um I like chess and I like chess, I like languages, I like traveling, foreign cultures. Um I'm also a practicing Christian, so I'm looking to read more of the Bible and get more into that.
Well, that's something I'll share with you on.
My style is super dominating. It's I really like taking on more and more space. If I have a
Oh,
choice
right.
between having active pieces and just having my pawns up close against the enemy pieces, just completely suffocating them, I'll choose the suffocating pawn structure every time.
So, so you like the Karpov sort of Rubinstein sort of play.
Yeah, Karpov's a big role model for me.
Round six of the World Chess Championships. What do you think of Boris Spasskis's black signing his score sheet with resigns and then joining in the applaud for Bobby Fischer by standing up and applauding him?
I mean, everyone says it's a noble gesture. I think the spirit of competition though would dictate that that was probably wrong. It's fine to congratulate after the match is over, but that was still halfway through. That wasn't even halfway through the match, as far as I understand. So you would never see me doing
Right,
that, for
right, it's
instance.
round six.
Even if I was unbelievably impressed by my opponent's play, assuming the competition is still going on, I think it's against the spirit of competition.
What do you consider important for preparation at the board? You've already said sleep.
I don't know. It's good to understand your opponent's style and understand what positions he doesn't want to go for, because everyone has a
Um,
style. So you want to try to direct them towards positions you like and your opponent doesn't, even if they're objectively fine.
what piece do you most like?
That's a hard one. It depends. It depends how old I am. I used to like knights. Now I like bishops.
What piece do you least like?
Um, I that's a really hard. Probably that's a really hard question. Probably knights.
Wow. Um, and I've already heard the answer to this. Any strong beliefs or morals or ethics?
Yeah, I'm an ardent follower of Christianity. I haven't chosen a denomination yet, but yeah, I have faith that the Christian God exists.
Fantastic. Would you play chess if your results were never good?
Probably not. Because yeah, especially back when I had a coach, my results were pretty bad and it just wasn't fun for me. to be losing most of my games. But once I started going to that chess club, my results started seriously improving, and I started winning more games, and then it became fun, and it took on a bit of a snowball effect where the good results made me want to work harder, made me want to study more and play more, and the playing more made my results even better.
What's your favorite exercise?
Exercise.
Yeah.
Uh, I like going to the gym. I like working out. I like doing pull-ups in particular.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a back exercise.
Does prestige or honor utilize a desire to play chess for you? Does it?
At some point, yes. At this point,
Yeah.
no. Yeah. It definitely, yeah.
This question pops up a lot. Please explain in your own words how a knight moves.
The knight moves up to and over one, but it can, yeah, I guess it's hard, right? Just you can choose any straight line, vertical or horizontal, and it goes up two and then it goes perpendicular one.
When we count moves, we go white, black, one move, white, black, two moves, etc. When you get asked by someone, how many moves can you look ahead? Do you think you should be more, descriptive about how many moves you can actually look ahead?
Yeah, I would agree with you that the terminology is confusing. And there's really, yeah, and also I feel most players also use the same things interchangeably. Like if we're talking about, yeah, yeah, no, it's confusing to people, but it does make
Yeah,
sense. It at the same time it does make sense though, right? If we're talking, it wouldn't make sense for white's move two. It makes sense for us to have the system we do have, but I do agree that it's confusing because if we start saying what is white going to do on move three, that would also be confusing to people because they would only see one white move on the board. So there's going to be confusion no matter what.
are you happy, Raven, with your past performances?
Yeah, yeah, relatively.
Any aspirations for upcoming chess events?
None at all. I'm happily taking a sabbatical from tournaments.
Oh, wow. How long is the sabbatical? 1 year?
Yeah, at least.
At least. Do you get what could be classed as a dud game?
Chess? I no, I don't think so.
How do you handle a losing streak? Do you get a losing streak or did you get losing streaks?
Yeah, I handle them with some type of physical aggression. I mean, not in terms of violence or anything like that, but just going to the gym or running like 10 miles, some type of physical, like
Yeah,
something sort of related to physical exercise, or just punching
yeah,
a boxing bag for like half an hour, something like that. Because yeah,
yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's something that every chess player just develops methods of dealing with because it is extremely uncomfortable and distressing.
So what is it that you eat that's different from someone like me that um is there some sort of special food you eat that makes you who you are, that you're a great chess player that you are?
No, I don't think so. I
Okay.
Yeah, I just drink a lot of coffee and eat a lot of red meat, a lot of steak.
What's your favorite movie?
I like a lot of types of movies. I really enjoy film. I could name five. I like a lot of international films. Cinema
Good.
Paradiso is a good one. Do you know that one?
Oh, wow.
It's a
Yeah.
good one.
Yeah, I know them.
Yeah, there's a film called City of God where it's set in Brazil. I watched it recently and I wasn't nearly as enamored as I had been previously, but I really love that movie and I love like the beautiful nature of Brazil it shows. Um, there are tons. I
Wow.
liked Inception to name something that was more of a blockbuster, and
Yes, yes. You know that.
yeah, there are a lot of strange ones also. I really like Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut. That was a very interesting one,
Yeah,
and
it's good.
Yeah, I guess to name another, I like David Lynch's Lost Highway. It was a very strange film. It's very obscure. Strange is the only way I can describe it. Yeah,
What's the movie you most detest?
that's a great question. I try not to remember the ones that I dislike. To name
Huh?
a recent one, I hated Oppenheimer.
Oh wow.
Everyone loved
Wow.
Oppenheimer. Yeah, I'm probably gonna get some enemies for saying this. I hated it. I thought it was terrible. There were some interesting things, but everything Nolan is good for and special effects and these very
Yeah,
interesting
yeah.
twisted plot lines, they did not work well at all, in my opinion, with a character-based film that's meant to just describe. And yeah, the film went on too long. I was checking my watch the last hour and a half of the film for when I could leave the theater. I was considering just getting up and leaving throughout the last 45 minutes. Um,
Wow.
yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
sympathize at all with the character.
Um,
He's just this womanizer who just cheats on his wife all the
yeah,
time.
yeah.
For some reason
Yeah.
we're supposed to like feel sympathy for him when all we've seen him
Yeah.
do is just do really ridiculously wretched things. And it's like he's supposed to be this genius, but I'm sure, and to whatever extent, I'm sure he was a genius, but a film that's meant for the general public would never be able to even delve into the interesting things that he actually discovered. They're just going to show him writing on a whiteboard a few times, and we're just going to take that and use our imaginations to imagine him being the splendid genius that's just discovered all these amazing things.
I think the reason why you're a grandmaster is obvious to me. So, does anything annoy you at the board from your opponent?
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's normal though. Most chess players are paranoid and neurotic in this way. They'll fixate on things their opponent does, and it's important to just know that about yourself and try to control it. There are occasions where your opponent has extremely annoying mannerisms, but generally it's more a sign of you just being angry at your situation or angry at your position on the board, and then looking to outsource it to other.
What if your opponent is not your best friend?
Uh, is not or is my best friend? Well, if they're not my
Right?
best friend, I would just treat it like a normal game. If they were my best friend, I would also treat it like a normal game. There's
Oh, good.
like tying back to the answer for Spassky, I think, there's you're both entering in a competition, right? So there's certain expectations. And all is fair in the competition. You can't be nice. The reason both of you are there is to try your hardest.
Have you got a bogeyman in chess, Raven?
Uh Not really. I don't think so.
Okay.
There are some positions I can't stand, but like there's some openings I really don't like, but yeah, I don't think so. You have to get used to playing positions, even the ones you find really uncomfortable.
And are you anyone's bogeyman?
Not really.
Okay.
Really. There's some people that I've beaten repeatedly, but I don't know. Like it depends. Your style always meshes very well against certain players and meshes awful against others. So yeah, I think to save everyone's reputation, I won't mention the people who I have a fantastic score against, and also there are people whose styles mesh extremely well against mine, and they like okay, yeah. So one person that's been my boogeyman is this younger grandmaster Brandon Jacobson. He's only slightly stronger than me on in terms of ratings, but I think he has a score of like 10-1 against me, something like that. Yeah.
Do you have a longest game?
Yeah, I think I can't remember off the top of my head exactly when it was, but it was probably a 6.5 hour game.
What foods do you like most?
I really love cake. I love carrot cake, cheesecake. They have a lot of coconut cake as well where I'm living, so
Yes, of course. What foods do you detest?
um I don't like shrimp. I don't like most types of any type of seafood that isn't fish. I forget the words for it. I forget though, but like mussels,
Yeah,
clams,
yeah.
oysters, I can't stand. I what are
Oh,
those called?
so-
Yeah,
Huh?
shellfish. Isn't there some term for
Mollusks.
yeah, mollusks?
If you could wave a magic wand and magically appear at any chess match in history, what would be that game?
That's an interesting one. Um, yeah, I don't know. Probably the one of the Kasparov Karpov matches. Those seem the most interesting to me. One of them was played in the Philippines, so that would be a cool.
What's your favorite chess book and why?
I like a ton. Probably my favorite is Dvoretsky's Endgame Manual. It's a really cool one. It's really famous. It's known for being advanced. It's very comprehensive. It's yeah, and it's got a lot of cool puzzles.
Do you have a favorite book?
One I like a lot is The Fountainhead. I like a
Oh, yeah.
bunch. The Fountainhead is good. Tale of Two Cities by Dickens, I really like.
Brilliancy prize, should it be positional crush or tactical crush?
I like positional more. That would be my style.
What do you consider your most important five things in life?
Uh, it would have to be family, friends, God, chess, and I don't know, cultural arts, you could call it, right? Like music, language, anything like that. Literature.
How do you approach more than one serious game a day?
I just try to not do it. I try to never put myself in a position where it has to be done. Because I
Is
really
it a
can't
player?
stand.
Sorry?
I can't stand those types of situations, which are 2 games a day. And yeah,
In the same tournament.
or in different tournaments, anything that would require me to play 2 games a
Okay.
day. Yeah.
I agree. I find I agree. I can. That's one of my. I find I play one game a day best than more than one.
Yeah.
If I play the one game really well, and then the second one, no, it's just not the same as the first one. Is that about aggression? About Conrad Lorenz or something? Is
Yeah,
that
mentally it's extremely hard to play 2 good games. Just the normal even to play 1 good game at like peak mental capacity, that's
yeah?
enormously demanding. And then to be expected to do it twice, you're gonna need to cut corners somewhere and just slack off and hope that you're not missing anything.
Is there a player that you'd like to least lose to? Is there any player you'd like to lose less to? You don't want to lose to that player at all. Is there any
I don't
player
think
you don't
there's no player I would want to lose to.
okay, a player you would most like to lose to then?
uh my best friend.
What part of the game do you like most?
The end game is nice. I like the end game.
What part do you least like?
The opening.
Favorite opening for what?
I really like King Pawn. Yeah, King Pawn is fun.
Favorite opening for black?
I don't know it that well, but I really like the Yinish Gambit.
What happens if an immovable object meets an irresistible force?
That's that's a really interesting question. But yeah,
Okay,
that describes the whole that describes like the plot line of any I don't know, any Odyssey, right?
okay.
That's the structure of the human struggle. Like that's supposed to be always the like the beautiful heroic tale, right? It's someone's character innately just overcomes the what seems to be the impossible.
Do you like Aaron Brockovich movie?
I have not seen that. I think I saw that as a child. I can't remember it. The Dark Horse? I've heard of it. I have not seen it.
Have you listened to Chess the musical, or have you been there?
No,
Chess the musical.
I haven't seen almost any chess related um cultural pieces. So even the Queen's Gambit, I've only seen clips of. I think I the only full chess movie I watched was Searching for Bobby Fischer.
Yes. Did you like that one?
It was interesting. I think just in general, there's no way for chess to be marketed to a broad audience and also satisfy the top players. So I
Yeah, of
prefer for
course.
them to be going over variations and stuff, but of course, it's a movie for the general public. So